You said as soon as that invitation lands on your doorstep, you dread it because you just think, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, I think initially there's that excitement. You know, it's always nice to be invited to a wedding, isn't it? But yeah, then when you start to look into the finer details, where you need to travel to, the accommodation you need to book, the gift list, all of that, it is a bit a sort of gulp as you realise quite how much you're going to spend.
And it's an honour to get invited to the hen do
Of course,
as well,
yeah, the hen do's, yeah, they're an honour.
And also there seems to be a trend for weekday weddings, and you can understand it because it's much cheaper for the bride and groom to book a venue. But the problem is, as a guest...
Yes, you've got to take a day of annual leave, maybe 2, you have to travel up, it means maybe an extra night of accommodation, and there's quite a trend for people to kind of do a night before or something, or a day after as well, so it doesn't tend to be just like a day's event anymore, it's more like a weekend celebration.
Well, it's taking you abroad as well, isn't it?
Yes, it's taking me abroad. I mean, obviously it's lovely, but I'm not sure if my bank manager would agree.
And how do your friends feel about you coming on here now and talking about how much money their weddings have cost you?
I think it's like mixed feelings, really. Some people say I should start turning down the invites that are for, you know, a once-removed type friend or someone who I'm not as close to. But I think it's easy to say that, but it's not that easy to turn down a wedding invite. I think that's almost seen as a bit of a social faux pas, like to you know, it is an honour to receive an invite, and so to turn it down, it could be seen as offensive. Yeah, exactly.
But the trouble is, by not appearing rude, your whole lifestyle has had to change.
Exactly, yeah.
So when did you first know? I mean, it was credit card bills, wasn't it, that you had come through?
Yeah, exactly. I think at the beginning of last year, so I had 4 weddings last year, and I've got 6 this year. And the invites were just coming through thick and fast. And it's that thing where, I suppose, when you get the invite, you want to book the accommodation because you might, you know, you want to be near the church or the venue, or you want to be in the same accommodation as your friends and kind of make the most of the weekend. But you haven't necessarily budgeted for an accommodation bill that month of that year. So it's easy to just, you know, think, oh, I'll pop that on a credit card, or you know, and then things mount up. You end up booking train travel. Not many people having weddings necessarily that in a really convenient place, so you might be travelling to the other end of the country via train. It all just kind of adds up.
Discuss this with your other friends. Do they feel the same?
Yeah. Funnily enough, like, the more I've spoken about it, it's almost people breathing a sigh of relief and kind of going, "Oh, me too. Yeah, that's what I do." You know, when you want to book the accommodation, but or you know, someone says, "Do you want to share a room with me?" and you don't want to say, "Oh, actually, I can't afford it at the moment." I don't think Brits like to talk about money too much, do we? So
the reality of the situation is now that you've sort of got so much debt that you've had to let go of your flat.
Yes, so I was living away from home, and I just got to a point where I thought, if I want to keep going to these weddings and you know, seeing my friends walk down the aisle, then something has to give. And it was that was the thing I decided. I went back to my parents' house just so.
What did they say?
Well, they're quite laid back. I'm lucky. I know not everybody would want to live with their parents, I don't think, but mine are quite laid back, so they weren't sort of slapping me on the wrist when I got home. But I do think, you know, things have changed a lot since they got married, which is, I think, oh, they told me off for this. I think it was 40 years ago. So I think, you know, it was a hen night that was one night in the local pub, or the wedding was very low-key in comparison to what.
Well, you say if you
attended,
you know, once you've attended one cocktail-making class, you've sort of attended them all, you don't necessarily need another.
I know. I think I could lead the cocktail.
Is there a bit of FOMO here, fear of missing out?
Yeah, I think there is a case of that. You don't want to be, you know, sat at home kind of doing nothing when you know that 15 of your friends are all out having a jolly to celebrate someone getting married.
Do you think that also maybe, you know, if you are organising a hen or a stag do, to just bear it in mind that actually you could just have one night out at your local pub or in town or somewhere that's close, where it's a taxi fare home, and not have to go away on a plane for a weekend.
Exactly. I think people need to start being a bit more modest about hen do's, and I know stag do's can be the same, but, you know, if you're with your friends, you shouldn't really need to do cocktail making or, like, bike rides or what have you.
I don't want to do that.
Yes, I think it is. And I do think that when it's bridesmaids who are organising the hen parties, it's almost like I want to show how well I know the bride and what a good time I want to give her, which obviously is a compliment to the bride, but it comes at the cost of all the other guests. Yeah.
So
all right,
well, Bridesmaids the movie for you then, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's all summed up in that film. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, and enjoy the wedding.
Thank
now
you.
You've made that
I'll try.
choice. I hope they're good.
Yeah.
I hope they last.